All right, so welcome to the news review segment of the AM show. And my guest this morning is lawyer Kweku Paintil. And lawyer, good morning to you. I hope all is well. All right, so I have with me the Daily Guide newspaper. I have the Finder newspaper. I have the New Crusading Guide and the Economy Times. Okay. Now, on the front page of the Ghanaian Times, we have centralized registration will deprive Ghanaians. And I don't want John Mahama drama. It comes with a photograph of Ms. Bell and former President John Dramani Mahama. Now, the banner headline, 60 billion cedis was technical loss. Bank of Ghana fights back. It comes with a photograph of the governor, Dr. Ernest Addison. NPP ready for Saturday, and it comes with a picture of the vice chairman of the NPP's Presidential Election Committee, Kwabena Bankwa Yeboah, and NDC stages protest against Addison. Okay, so we'll get into those papers. My guest this morning is lawyer Kweku Paintil. Lawyer, good morning to you. Okay, I guess when we get lawyer, we'll bring him up. But let's get into the details of the stories in the Daily Guide newspaper. On page 3, it says 60 billion cedis was technical loss. And the story is written by Ernest Kofi Edu. Now, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, has dismissed allegations of central bank mismanagement that resulted in a 60 billion loss last year, asserting the loss is a technical one arising from the haircut and application of accounting standards. Okay, so we'll get into that story. The Finder reports that 12 SHS to offer aviation and aerospace courses next year. Wow. That's according to the minister, Dr. Educhum. But that will be an interesting one, isn't it? Aerospace and aviation. Wow. I can't wait for that to begin. Now, debts written off to cause our loss accumulated since 1992. That's according to BoG. Cost of new headquarters not bloated. $2,068 per square kilometer is competitive. That's according to the Bank of Ghana. Oh, okay. That's how much the land was sold for, huh? Anyway, NPP outlaws private security at Super Delegate Conference. Government pays 85% of debt owed food suppliers, according to the NAFCO. Niger coup, let's use diplomatic interventions, Chief Imam says. That's according to the Finder newspaper. The New Crusading Guide, it says the National Cathedral Project and the 10 Commandments. That story is on page 8. You might want to read it. $250 million, Bank of Ghana head office, Bruhaha. No procurement law was broken. Governor clears the air. Okay. Family petitions IGP to investigate death of Maxwell Okoto in Akwetia. And Ofosun Cancer supports teachers in Asante Achem Central. Adwejiri installs new chief, and let's live in unity to promote development in Pokuase. Okay, so those are the stories on the front page of the New Crusading Guide. Let me see if I can see what they are reporting on spot. 10-man West Ham stun Chelsea at the London Stadium. Okay, so that's an important story. You might want to read it. 10-man West Ham stun Chelsea at the London Stadium. I think I'll take interest in that story and read a bit of it for you. Now it says, West Ham United claimed a rousing London derby win against big spending Chelsea, despite playing almost 30 minutes with 10 men. Now the Hammers were 2-1 ahead when defender Nayef Agued, who opened the scoring with a 7th-minute header, was sent off in the 67th minute for his second bookable offence. But Chelsea could not force an equalizer and then conceded a late third through Lucas Paqueta's penalty in the 5th minute of added time. Okay, so that is the story there. But there's a Ghanaian story here which is interesting. Brighton manager De Zerbi confident in Tariq Lamptey's return. So let's look out for that one. Economy Times, job availability increases by 3.5%. Hey, that's interesting. FDI's value rises marginally end 2022. And Ghana is only ECOWAS country in debt distress. Oh, according to AFDB. Well, that's not a good story, is it? Now, scarcity of jobs in the country has improved slightly for the first half of 2023, according to the Bank of Ghana. For the first 2 quarters of 2023, the total number of advertised jobs in the media, which partially gauges labor demand in the economy, went up by 3.5% to 16,866 from 16,290 recorded during the same period in 2022. The number of jobs advertised increased in June 2023 relative to what was observed in the corresponding period a year ago. In total, 2,993 job adverts were recorded as compared to 2,662 for the same period in 2022, indicating improvement of 12.4% year on year. Now, to the story about Ghana being the only country in ECOWAS in debt distress, it says, and this story is written by Adnan Adams Mohammed. The African Development Bank's newest report, the 2023 West Africa Economic Outlook, ranked Ghana's external debt to GDP to about 39.5% recorded in 2022 as 10% higher than the West African average of 29.6%. Ghana's external debt stood at $29 billion as at end of December 2022, ranking 6th highest on the continent. Now, however, countries such as Cape Verde, Senegal, and Niger that have high external debt to GDP are not in distress, but Ghana is the only ECOWAS country in debt distress. Quote, West Africa's external debt increased from an average of 13.8% of GDP in 2014 so the story continues on page 4, and it says to 29.6% in 2022. The debt accumulation was facilitated by a rise in the issuance of Eurobond. Eurobonds have been issued by Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Nigeria, and Senegal since 2011, and by Benin since 2019. The West Africa Economic Outlook 2022 noted. So that is the story there with regards to Ghana being the only ECOWAS country in debt distress. Very, very interesting there. Now, the story about FDI's value rising marginally in 2020 says foreign direct investment, FDIs, legally registered in the country have increased slightly in value but declined marginally in volumes at the end of December 2022, according to figures from the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC. From January to December 2022, the center recorded foreign direct investment totaling $1.35 billion US. This compares with a slightly lower figure of approximately $1.29 billion US recorded in 2021, representing an increase of 4.22%. Okay, so lawyer Kweku Pentil is now with us, joining us via phone. Lawyer, good morning to you. Trust all is well. Hello, lawyer.
Yes.
Great to have you. Now,
thank you.
Let's begin from the daily guide.
Yes.
It says the 60 billion cedis that was lost by the BoG was a technical loss. Now, the details are that the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, has dismissed allegations of central bank mismanagement that resulted in a 60 billion cedis loss last year, asserting that the loss is a technical one arising from the haircut and application of accounting standards. His defense followed criticism from some Ghanaians, including the leader of the opposition National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, who referred to him as a, quote, pliant governor, unquote, seeking to cover up his mismanagement. Quote again, an incompetent finance minister damages the economy and uses COVID-19 and Ukraine-Russia war as cover-ups. A pliant governor destroys the central bank and seeks to use the domestic debt exchange as a cover, unquote, the NDC flag bearer asserted. The minority leader, Dr. K. Salatu Forson, also called for his immediate resignation as well as his deputies. Dr. Addison, on the other hand, has rejected the claims of mismanagement, pointing out that the loss recorded by the central bank is a technical one resulting from the haircut and the application of accounting standards, IFRS 9, to estimate expected credit losses over the tenor of the government debt held by the bank. Lawyer, isn't his explanation, meaningful enough?
The explanation is, with respect, a little funny. Because, see, at the end of the day, a loss is a loss.
Okay.
Whether it's technical, commercial, economic, it's a loss to the country. And the real issue is whether those losses could have been avoided.
Okay.
I believe that's what the debate is about. It's not the name that we give to the loss. It's about whether those losses could have been avoided or somehow scaled down or somehow, one way or the other. And these are some of the issues that come up in this country, and we try to dismiss them and then make it like non-issues. But they are not. They cannot go away. If we are running around the World Bank and other places looking for $3 billion, which lasted for about how many months with conditions and whatever, what it means is that we could have avoided the World Bank journey to begin with. And if somebody had done something right somewhere, possibly we'll be in a better state. So these kind of issues, they call for dispassionate discussions. And if our parliament itself was working well, this calls for some parliamentary inquiries, very, very serious inquiries into these matters to make a determination whether indeed the losses, however they call it, were justified. And somebody has to be answerable. And that's my view of this matter. We just don't leave these things. We just always leave it, make it partisan discussions, and at the end of the day, everybody forgets it. They will go to the next level of loss, the next level of corruption, the next level of this. I think we have tired too much in this country having these matters become non-issues, and then we keep on running around like we don't know what we are doing. So that's my view about this matter. It's not a small matter. It's not something that must be covered up and then we all forget it. It cannot be. So the parliamentarians, they know better and they know what to do. These are issues that people ought to come to parliament. Questions ought to be put and people must answer them. And committees must be set up. This is not a small loss, though. It's not a small loss at all. And nobody must joke with it.
So what's your expectation of how this development must be treated? And kindly mute your Zoom for me so that we pick what's happening on phone.
No,
so,
I believe we must set up a parliamentary inquiry, a very serious parliamentary inquiry, must investigate all aspects of this loss and a clear determination made whether it was avoidable, whether heads must roll somewhere, and this is not going to come about from the demonstrations that they are calling. Demonstrations are a political show. Nothing is going to come out of it. He said the man must resign. When he resigns, does that money come back to our coffers? Is that the issue? I believe it's a much more serious issue than demonstration. That's my own view of this matter.
Okay.
So a parliamentary inquiry must be set up concerning this matter. A dispassionate discussion must be had, and an all-round parliamentary this must go into it. That's my view of this matter. I think the political parties said they are joking, not joking.
Okay, Lawyer, kindly unmute your Zoom for me so we can hear what you tell us through or via the Zoom.
Is that okay?
Okay, so I'll check it. But in relation to that story, NDC stages protest against Addison. The NDC minority in Parliament has written to the Greater Accra Regional Police Command to notify them of an impending protest march against Dr. Ernest Addison, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, on this development. Is that what you are referring as they being jokers?
Within a political class, go on demonstration, and then what? And if he resigns, and then what? That resolve the issue. It's a much more serious issue than they're making it seem. Very, very serious issue. So therefore, this matter is going to be resolved by somebody going on demonstration. I'm not denying their right to go on demonstration if they so wish, but I'm saying that this issue is much more serious and requires a much more serious approach than merely embarking on a demonstration to enforce his resignation. It's not the resignation that will resolve. It may be part of so many things, but the real truth is that, please, they are our lawmakers. You see, that's a very interesting thing. People who make laws for us, people who know how to make investigations, people who ought to know what to do, will rather embark on a demonstration and cause chaos and confusion and wherever in town. And then in 1 month's time, this matter lies. And then that's the end of it. And we go back to wherever we all came from and continue to behave like nothing happened. That's what is happening. That's the history of all of these matters in this country. And therefore, at the end of the day, nobody is held accountable. What is a resignation? A resignation will resolve this matter.
Okay. Let's relate it to a story in the Finder. It says cost of new headquarters not bloated. $2,068 per square kilometer is competitive. Now, the Bank of Ghana has rejected accusations that the cost of its headquarters under construction is inflated. And this story is in the Finder newspaper. Now, according to the regulator, the $2,068 per square kilometer cost of the project compares favorably with data from the Africa Property and Construction Cost Guide 2021-2022's $2,658 per square kilometer and 2022-2023 cost of $2,720 per square kilometer as average construction cost for prestige high-rise office spaces in Africa. The BoG pointed out that even though the comparable data from the Africa Property and Construction Cost Guide relate to prestige high-rise office spaces, the unique features of a central bank, including vaults and security installations, rank higher than the considerations for the former. Conspicuously, BoG failed to provide the total cost of the reviewed project to debunk the $250 million cost in the public domain. What do you make of this explanation? That if you look at the guide, we are paying $2,068 as compared to $2,720 for prestige high-rise in Africa.
They say prestige high-rise in Africa, nowhere else. Africa. Corruption is highest in Africa than anywhere else in the world. The popular perception, and unfortunately some of these things feed into reality. The popular perception is that the cost of properties that are done in Africa by government, not private people. I hope that the comparative cost analysis that they were making would be related to private projects. Government projects are much more expensive in Africa, in Ghana. I mean, the kind of money that sometimes we hear is unimaginable. And sometimes you begin to wonder if that same amount was in the hands of somebody else in anywhere apart from Africa, whether we'll be getting the kind of thing. And you see, these things do us no good. That's why, in my honest view, all of these things must be contextualized. This whole thing has been placed within the context of the Bank of Ghana's perceived mismanagement of public funds or public resources. And therefore, it's my honest view that if our parliamentarians took a serious view of this matter and decided to set up a parliamentary inquiry of a sort, then all of these matters can properly be interrogated or properly be investigated or properly analyzed and assessed. I mean, other than that, what we are doing, we are met with these answers. They may be true, but they may also be untrue. So the real truth of this matter, how do you go about this matter? Set up a proper inquiry. This money, over the last year or two, because of social media, we noticed, some comparisons that were being made between our Kutuka airport and an airport, I think, in Eastern Africa, and how these things, they come and they are true. And you begin to ask yourself, what happened? The perception out there is that the politicians have the way of bloating. The word is bloat, B-L-O-A-T. That is to say, they are all kind of things to these things. So at the end of the day, somebody takes money which ought to have bought a Mercedes-Benz car. At the end of the day, he brings a Toyota. And when the thing becomes an issue, he tells you that the Toyota also not a car. But that is misleading. The issue is not whether we set out to buy a car, but a particular car. The money that we say we use it for this particular project, Is it truly? Could it have been less? Could it even have been halfway? Or what did we do really to ensure that we got value for what we asked for? Which is all what public procurement is about. Value for money. And if you put in 100,000 to buy something which is 50,000, I mean, come on, did you exercise your discretion well? You know, so that will go a long way to go. But my honest view of this issue goes back to my first remark, which is that let there be a proper inquiry into this matter. Parliament knows what to do if they really feel serious about this matter. They know what to do. Nobody is going to take us for a ride and make us believe that going on demonstration and asking the governor to resign will answer for us the real issues at stake. Thank you.
All right. Let's turn to a rather inspiring story. Now, beginning next academic year, 12 senior high schools will offer courses in aviation and aerospace. Dr. Yawase Duchum, Minister of Education, has announced. The initiative, according to him, forms part of efforts to promote science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education in the country to enable Ghanaian students to compete in the fourth industrial revolution. The ministry announced this at the Fiakobi and Pem Girls Senior High School, which is credited as the first SHS in Ghana to have developed a miniature airplane as part of its engineering exploits. But this is good news, isn't it? How do we ensure that, you know, we succeed at this, to ensure we have 12 senior high schools implementing aerospace and aviation courses at the senior high school level?
I think it's a very, very laudable idea. How to make it work will be the work of the technical people. But it appears that our education has been stereotyped. Our education has always been remained the whole thing. We have always been behind, our education. I remember way back, about 1972, thereabout, science was not even available in our elementary schools. They were not available. You go to secondary school, the first time that somebody is talking about science, and you begin to wonder what is science, and they teach you science. It's the study, the careful study of things around us. Way back in those days, we didn't know science till you go to secondary school. So I'm quite elated by the suggestion that this type of education is going to be offered at this level, and we hope that as they start it and as they develop it, hopefully in some few years to come, we also become competitive. I mean, an aspect of our education will be geared to, because that is what the next level of development and everything is going. And as we can see, there is a rush into space for all kinds of things. Well, for us, I do not know. You know, we've always had the atomic energy since 1960s, and I don't even know whether Ghana competes with countries with that type of facility. So it's not just starting it, but how we're able to move that level of education to our national development and so forth and so on. So I do not know really the technical details, but I can only commend the minister for his hard work and hope that something really good comes out of this. Because I know, for instance, that over the few years, there's something we call STEM education. STEM education. I know it is working. They have set it up. Except that I think what they have are pilot projects that they are doing in the hope that they will spread it all over the country after some few years. But from what I've heard so far, I think they are working successfully. And if this thing is added, I'm sure it's another layer of that development of our education system. So I have nothing but commendation.
But you know, in the implementation process, you know, in this country, we all have fantastic ideas. But when it comes to implementation, that's where the challenge is. So for it not to suffer the fate of project that we've had in this country, what are the steps that we need to take to ensure that we are having an effective implementation of such a fantastic idea?
Well, I believe we have I cannot speak directly to this point, but I believe we've got the technical men. In other words, the technical people. The Minister of Education has got all the facilities, has got all the people. Our universities have the resources. I'm talking about human resources. I'm talking about personnel who are driving this project. And that's about it. How holistic it will be and how effective it will be. I'm just assuming for the purpose of our discussion that they've got everything on the drawing board, and possibly when it takes off, we'll be able to access it from afar, from wherever we find ourselves. and be able to assess it maybe on some regular basis to determine whether we are making the right thing. But what happens is that we have people, or rather technical people, who abound in this country, but sometimes putting them together to achieve results is also part of the problem that we have in this country. It's like, let me show you my own reflection of how I see a lot of things in this country. You see, it is the MPP government which is in power, and the politics that we run in this country appears to be like, oh, if this is an MPP project, then let them go on with it. However educated, however knowledgeable some professor who subscribes to the other party is, then he may not be part of it. Because being part of MPP success story will somehow influence or affect their own politics. It is part of the problem we have in this country. I'm not saying that it is responsible for any particular thing, but I've seen this thing work out in so many ways in this country. So maybe I'm speaking to somebody who has the knowledge, who has the technical know-how, but somehow feels alienated from the politics of the MPP, and therefore have resolved that he will never be part of it. Because it's only when we come together as a country that we can put in things and proceed. And I need to say this, even though the question they asked me is a harmless question. Let me put it this way. You know, Ghana, we are so polarized. The word is polarized along political lines that it affects and influences and everything that we do. And I'm calling on people to look up. Last time I gave this example on this thing. Even in countries, I mean, look at Israel, look at Brazil, look at when they go on demonstrations, they don't use party flags, they use the national flag, showing that all the people who are concerned with it have got nothing to do with politics, got nothing to do with party politics. They come together because it's a national interest that they are defending. But in this country, everything must be divided into straight lines as to who joins what queue and so forth and so on. It affects our policy. Because somebody believes that if, for instance, he comes on board, you are seen to be part of the implementation of this particular project, and he does not belong to the party, his own party people will call him names and stuff. So
Okay.
please, yes.
Okay. All right. If you can do this for me in a minute, I'll be happy. Now, on page 3 of the Economic Times, there's a story there. Soaring food energy prices push 15 million Africans into poverty. Now, some 15 million people in Africa were pushed into poverty in 2022 due to high food and energy prices, the African Development Bank has reported. However, the bank indicated that the poverty effect of energy price increases was higher than food prices. This was because the energy impact was fully passed through household income, while the negative impact of high food prices was partially offset by increases in household income from net sellers. Quote, in Africa, the additional number of people falling into extreme poverty due to energy price inflation is estimated at 10.2 million, bringing the combined poverty effect of soaring food and energy prices to about 15 million people, the bank noted. Your reaction in just a minute.
Yeah, I said I should speak in a minute. You know, the Bible, Jesus said, as for the poor, you shall continue to have them with you. There will always be poor, there will always be pushed into poverty. But at the end of it, it's about what the government does. I personally believe that the energy prices that we pay for, we are not paying for efficiency. Half of the things that we pay for is due to inefficient operation of all of these things that we have around us. So that at the end of the day, what we pay for 100 cities could as well be 40, could as well be 50 cities. But here, I mean, that's the way it is. And we absorb all of these things as part of the cost that they push on to us. So it's all about efficiency. I personally believe that if our public institutions, I mean electricity corporation in particular that we're talking about, if they become more efficient, possibly we'll be paying for less. So that's the way I just want to add this one. But like I said, I mean, the poor will always be with us, and there are people who still don't have electricity because they themselves do not know how to rise up. Maybe they want free electricity like free education. But free education has come. I don't know whether free electricity will ever come.
Yes. All right. Lawyer, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. All the best for the morning.
You're welcome.
So that's Lawyer Kweku Pencil there. And that's how we wrap up the review. We're grateful to our sponsor. But before I go, good morning to Nana Ghc60bn. Today is your birthday. Nana is the PRO for the Western Music Awards, and he works with the ECG as well. Nana Ghc60bn, happy birthday to you, brother. Nyame unshira papa. You know you're a great guy, so may God continue to bless you. Now, to Mr. Richmond K. Alamu, Manager, Asset Integrity and Maintenance, Gas Processing Plant at Tuabo. Yesterday was your birthday. A blessed, belated birthday to you as well. We're grateful to you for watching. We'll take a quick break. When we go back, when we return, we'll bring you sport. But let's say thanks to our sponsors of the news review, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. We're offering free prostate screening and free female fertility screening at various locations. In Accra, we are at Spintex opposite Health signboard in Kumasi, Chronom Abuehia behind Angel Educational Complex. In Takrady, we are at the Anaja Estate, Tema at Community 22. In Techiman, we are at Hanswa. And in Nzima area, we are in Esiama. Call us 0244867068 or 0274234321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic diseases. Well, we'll take a quick break. Stay with us. Up next is sports.